Poverty and the Effects on Education by Scott Riggin, Kylie McCormack, and Jessica Thumb. Where am I going to sleep? Where is my dad? Who will help me with my homework? How can I change the course of my life? Who can I turn to for help? According to the National Poverty Center, of the total population in the United States, 24% are children. However, among the poor population, the percent of children escalates to 36%. Also, according to the NPC, the percentage of Americans living in poverty has changed over time. During the 1950s, 22.4% of the United States population lived in poverty. The nation then saw a decline throughout the 1960s when poverty was reduced to just 11.1%. The levels remained similar during the 1970s. From the NPC, it was not until 1983 that the number escalated back up to 35.5 million people, or 15.2%. Over the next decade, the number of individuals living in poverty remained high, toppling at 39.3 million people in 1993. According to the National Poverty Center, after these extremely high numbers in 1993, the rates began to decrease each year, lowering to 11.3% in 2000. Recently, 2010 became the highest level of poverty in the nation since 1993 at 15.1%. Of this 15.1%, in 2000, 16.24 million were children. As Richards discusses, there are many reasons why poverty in the United States has been on the rise. Among these include the unwed bearing of children. Today, the percent of unwed births is a staggering 32% higher than what it was in 1965. A child that is born to married parents is 7 times less likely to live in poverty than a child who is born to unwed parents. Richards also says another reason for high poverty rates seems to be the low levels of work from parental units. In poor households with children, only about 1/4 of them have 2 adults who work a combined 40 hours a week. According to Richards, an average of 16 hours a week is the amount that is common for poor households with children. If even one adult in the household worked near 40 hours a week, out of poverty would rise approximately 75% of poor children. The concentration of poverty in urban areas is rising. The increase is happening most rapidly in neighborhoods that already consist of a large number of low-income residents. As Richards discusses, the people in these urban communities are not finding any relief from poverty because these areas have higher crime rates, less access to job opportunities, as well as other social disadvantages.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the estimated poverty threshold in 2012 for a family of 4 will be $23,497. That is the equivalent of one member of the family working 40 hours a week, 52 weeks of the year, making $11.30 an hour. DoSomething.org says that in Nebraska, a family of 4 must have $31,080 for just the basic needs of life, and a family of the same size in Boston, Massachusetts must have $64,656. So while the national level for poverty is the same, it can have differing effects depending on location. With the 2008 recession, many government entities saw a decrease in revenue. Some of the loss was due to citizens losing jobs or taking pay cuts, resulting in loss of income taxes for the federal and states. With the housing bubble bursting, local governments saw a large reduction in property tax revenue. Public schools are mainly funded through 3 different levels of government, with the federal government contributing about 8%, states contribute about 48%, and local governments supply the remaining 44%, mostly through property taxes. Lambert reports that due to the recession, 41% of schools saw a decrease in funding, with 72% expecting even more reductions. This is just helping perpetuate the cycle of poverty, because the schools seeing the greatest reduction are those that are in the areas of poverty. Lambert also reports that in 2010, 45% of 54 million children 5 to 17 years old live in districts with poverty rates greater than 20%, and another 34% live in areas with the poverty level between 10 and 20%. The APA says that chronic stress associated with living in poverty has been shown to adversely affect children's concentration and memory, which may impact their ability to learn. Imagine wondering whether you are going to get to eat tonight or if you have a place to sleep. When you are walking to school, are you going to have trouble with other kids in the neighborhood? Adults in poverty struggle with stress every day, but think of the stress the kids are under, and then we want them to walk into a school and perform at high levels. Is it a wonder that the dropout level for children in poverty is 4.5 times greater than that of children from economically advantaged households?
There are obviously not any pros to poverty, but there are many ways to help. The EITC, Earned Income and Child Tax Credits, was established in 1975 to help families keep more of their earnings. It lifts more children above the poverty line than any other government program. According to the Brookings Institution, in 2011, an estimated 6.6 million people, including 3.3 million children, were lifted above the poverty line thanks to EITC. Children living in poverty can receive free and reduced lunch if they benefit from food and nutrition services such as food stamp programs. Children can get free meals if their household's gross income is within the free limits on the federal income guidelines. According to M. Nason, children living in poverty may come to school sleep deprived due to crowded homes and homelessness. They are not always guaranteed a secure place to stay at night. Students may disappear out of the classroom for days or weeks at a time, sometimes never returning. Many students go hungry and fear the weekend without having school meals to feed them. Poverty can affect health in many ways. According to Kristen Anderson-Moore, poor children are exposed to risk factors such as environmental toxins, inadequate nutrition, maternal depression, parental substance abuse, violent crimes, divorce, and low-quality childcare. Children living in poverty are more likely to be raised by a single parent. They usually do not have as much parental supervision but do have more parental distress. These children usually do not have health care and/or dental care. Research suggests to improve the future of poverty, there must be a combination of parental effort and correctly designed social programs to help the lives of poor children and their families. Examples of social programs are Habitat for Humanity, Help the Children, IBM, Medicaid, and WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. According to MCAS, as teachers we must understand how stressful the impact of poverty can be on our students and try to avoid increasing finance-related items such as school supplies. The cycle of poverty needs to end, and the only way to interrupt it is through education. As stated by Jerry Grillo, these kids are here to learn and experience everything they can, and just because their parents have run into some misfortune, we are not going to punish the children.